This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
And just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Don't forget, Lavelle is scheduled to join at about 5:30 this Friday evening. Top 5 now.
BarreroIsABum.com is available, by the way, for a domain. Josh Brown.
Don't encourage anybody.
One of us Hollywood actor guy. Well, if someone wants to waste their money to actually register that domain, I don't think that's going to be profitable for them, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But he did type it in and text me that BarreroIsABum.com is available.
It is available. All right. Good to know.
Let's start with this. You're the Cubs fan. 2016 when they won the World Series, right? You braved the elements and a reroute from, or I think your plane had to like circle because of a crash at Midway, right? Or something at Midway. You were stuck at O'Hare, or was it vice versa? Where you almost didn't make game 3 or game 4?
What happened, no, it was the flight was delayed leaving the Twin Cities.
That's what it was.
Because of a fire at O'Hare. A plane, there were no injuries as I recall, but a plane had broken out, had somehow caught on fire. And so it just delayed everything. And so then I basically got in very last minute. And then the train I was going to take to get me closer to Wrigley, that wasn't going to be available. So Coach Barrero ended up driving me to Wrigley Field in the traffic jam.
And didn't you have to get out a few blocks early, too?
I did,
because of the traffic jam? So
correct.
It was planes, trains, and automobiles.
Pretty much so.
I am going somewhere with this. I wonder, that was to set up your Cubs bona fides, if anybody doubted it.
And they lost the game, of course. They won the series.
Game 7,
but they lost the game. Yeah, that's it.
Had a rain delay,
correct.
Came back and won it in Game 7. It's weird. I remember that. Does it move you at all that Sammy Sosa was back at Wrigley today for the first time in 20-plus years?
It really doesn't.
I figured as much.
I don't. You know, it's interesting because in Chicago, this has been a big story because he was kind of banished, right? He was the cheater, and we don't want anything to do with you, and all that kind of stuff.
And in December, he released a statement saying he was sorry for his mistakes without specifying what they were.
Yeah.
He was caught up in the PED stuff, as we recall. But he is set to be inducted into the Cubs Hall of Fame this year. And today was the first time he'd been back there since, 2004, I think it was. So it doesn't move you too much.
No, I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I was never a huge Sammy Sosa guy. The home run, battle was with McGuire, right? I remember being at Wrigley there for that and chronicling that back in the Inkster Wretch days. It was a hell of a story. But I guess I didn't think it was going to be. I was at a point where if he goes back, fine. If he doesn't go back, I'm not that emotional about that period of Cubs baseball, I guess.
That makes sense, and that's what I expected.
But I'm wondering how emotional it is there, because I can't tell. Are people into it, or is it almost considered like a footnote story?
It seems like people are into it. Your manager, Counsell, saying...
is that right?
He came out... the wind was blowing out, so he wanted to be here today. He wanted to be in the lineup.
Well, the teams, they're having a very good season this year, actually. I think they're in first place, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me pull up the standings, because I had to do that anyway.
At some point, second half, we may get Coomdog involved. So.
Well, we will, because they're playing the Twins in July. And
that's right. We were reminded of that.
So we will definitely do that. The Cubs are 45-30. They are 5 games in front of Cato Kalin's Milwaukee Brewers, who are in town tonight. The Brew Crew, I think, did win yesterday. They've won 1 in a row. They have not been playing great baseball. If you follow Cato Kalin on Twitter, you know that, among other things. But they're 40-35 tonight. The Twins are 37-37. As I pull up the wild card standings, because that's what I have to do now with the Twins, they are a game behind Seattle and Boston for the final spot. They're also behind the Cleveland Guardians, a half game behind them. So They're in third place in the Central, 10 games back of Detroit.
It's over.
Division's over.
Like you said, the division's over, Johnny.
Joe Ryan on the mound tonight, opposing right-hander Jacob Mizorowski, who I don't think has pitched very much.
You know who's going to be there tonight? Who's already there?
Laurie Fisher.
Laurie Fisher.
What does Laurie Fisher do?
It's a Fox 9 game tonight.
It is.
That's why Enough Said will be on after the game. Correct?
Let's hope Joe Ryan works quickly.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. She's working it, and she said she was going to have TC Bear on the first 10 minutes of the news, anchoring.
Were they doing the 6 or the 5?
That's a good question. I don't recall.
Should probably have it up.
It might be on right now.
There's Isola. I have Isola and Wilbon on right now. All right, so the 5 o'clock news is on. They're doing some newsy stuff at the moment. So we'll keep track of it. We'll keep tabs on it.
Well, you mentioned on Enough Said that the team's schedule's a little challenging here over the next week or two, and so this might tell the tale, right? We're either going to sink deeper in the mire or in the muck.
The Randy Meyer?
Or we're going to, try to, again, get ourselves back into something resembling a race. I don't think it's much worth... are you having Gleeman on while I'm gone? You should have Gleeman on soon, if you want.
Potentially, yeah.
It's not a bad... Just to get caught up on, the state of the state when it comes to the Minnesota Twins.
They've got Milwaukee, to your point. Then they host Seattle, who's pretty good.
And who's after that? And there's somebody good after that?
Then it's on the road against Detroit.
Yeah, right. Well, is that the national TV game? That's a Sunday night?
Yes.
That's like our first national Sunday night TV game in like 5 years.
Sunday, June 29th, yes. So a week from Sunday will be on ESPN. We're on FS1 on Monday the 23rd against Seattle, but it's 3 with the Milwaukee Brewers starting. Did we blow it tonight?
Not having Cato on today? We could have had him in the 4:30 slot.
I thought about it. We probably did.
I think a moderate dose of Cato goes a longer way than a constant dose of Cato.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think?
Well,
we love him.
I just love talking with him on Twitter and just
yes, that's true.
Getting him going on different stuff. We probably did. It would have been a hard pivot from Andy Luger to Cato Kalin, though.
No offense to Cato.
No, none. Just maybe a little too dramatic.
Yeah, that's abrupt. We like abrupt turns on this show, though.
Maybe
that might be the most abrupt in history.
Do we know who Luger's NFL team is? Is it the Vikings? Because maybe
I think it's the Vikings.
Maybe we could do, because I know he's East Coast guy, so maybe we could do like.
Well, he's down on Rosen right now.
Who is it?
Because he said Rosen disparaged the fact he made it sound like he was going to hell going to New Jersey, and Andy's a New Jersey guy.
He is.
So he basically what's the problem with New Jersey?
New Jersey's great.
I told Andy you got to spend some time with Mace. You guys could bond over the New Jersey days.
Yeah. Mace is probably on his way there to go visit his sister.
That's right. That's true.
But we could do like a crosstalk, Cato Kalin and Andy Luger, football matchup.
That's true.
Different styles, point, counterpoint.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah. That would be great.
It would be unusual.
Nafisa Collier officially listed as questionable for tomorrow's game against the LA Sparks. She's been dealing with that.
So that means not out for an extended period, we don't think, if she's already a questionable.
You would assume, right? Yeah. And they made it sound like yesterday it's something she's dealt with before.
Okay.
Just needs to manage it a little bit. I mean, that's kind of how they're playing it. Who knows? But she's questionable for tomorrow's game against the Sparks, which you can hear right here on the Fan.
Are you broadcasting? What's July 1? What day of the week is that?
That is a Tuesday.
Are you broadcasting live from the cage?
I'm not, because I'm going to be gone
you're off too. Okay.
But I did think about it.
Yeah.
I did think
Wouldn't have been a bad...
It'd be an awesome time, too.
For the Commissioner's Cup,
yes, right? Have Kathy Engelbert on.
And Clark. How about, you think we'd be able to get Clark to go to the cage?
Probably. I bet we could, actually.
Now we'll never know.
We'll never know, and... there's a lot of things I want to say, but I'm not going to say anything.
Probably better, yeah.
I'm going to try to get out of here on Friday.
That makes sense.
Decent stead.
Yeah.
So that's tomorrow. And then on Sunday night, you've got Game 7, the NBA Finals. For the first time, we were speculating about it. It is the first time since LeBron and Golden State, right?
You're right, yeah.
When LeBron won it, it was the 3-1 series where Draymond got suspended, had to go watch the game across the street at the Oakland Coliseum, and got LeBron and Kyrie back into the series. Kyrie hits the game winner. LeBron yells, "Cleveland." Awesome moment. That was the last Game 7 until Sunday night, because the Pacers ran over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Last night wasn't much of a ball game after the ball game started. And here we are, tied at 3 with history on the line on Sunday.
The thoroughness of the victory did surprise me. I thought I picked the Pacers at the end of the show yesterday to win the game. I'm not going to tell you I thought they were going to be able to dominate to the degree they did. That looked a little bit like the Wolves' 42-point victory over Oklahoma City. The Pacers, with the exception of literally the start of the game, were outstanding. And who's the other ball handler?
Nesmith?
No. Nemhard.
Yeah.
His defense on the MVP yesterday was clinical. They should put that defensive effort and performance, seriously, it should be in the archives. There should be video and say, here's how you go about the business of harassing a great scorer. I think SGA ended up with 6 turnovers. Now,
He ended up with 8.
Was it 8?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even juicier. He got help. They gave him help, but he was on point defensively, virtually from start to finish in that ball game. And before Lavelle, we're going to get into a little more detail about the rant that I started the show with, because I think there's more meat on that bone. But Game 7 are great when it's for everything, right? When it's the last series. I'm sure the odds makers favor Oklahoma City. I'll be curious to find out by how many. They're very good at home. You could argue it's still their series. The question is always, did they show some vulnerability there that might actually deep down scare them a bit? Or did the Pacers figure something out that can be translated even going back to the road? But this would mean winning twice for the Pacers in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Right? Twice.
Thunder are 7.5-point favorites according to DraftKings.
7.5. What's interesting about that is, didn't you tell me they were 5.5-point favorites last game?
Yeah.
So only 2 more points, even though they're back at home, which tells me the odds makers either trying to get more money the other way, or they're thinking things are a little less certain than they did before Game 6.
Here's what I'll say in our final minute or so before we straddle, because you're on Sunday, so you'll be able to talk more about this. Game 7. Watch what happens if Indiana makes it a game in the second half. I think the Thunder have to win it like they're used to winning it. Getting a big lead, and then all of a sudden it's 15-20. As opposed to if it's a 6 or 7 point game with 5 minutes to go. They're so different. And even game 4 in Indy, like you watch, it was basically like SGA's got to save us, was their offense in the second half.
Right.
And he made enough plays in the fourth quarter. But we've been saying it for kind of the whole playoffs. Like when they're up 10, everything's fun, it's free, it's loose, it's easy, it's put back dunks, it's 3-pointers from everybody. Your guy Wiggins is making like Caitlin Clark threes.
Right.
When it's tight, they are different, and the pressure's going to be all on them because not just of this season, but last season when they're the number 1 seed, now they come back even better.
Yeah.
They're anointed. SGA's MVP. You lose this game Sunday night to the Pacers.
Oh.
Like, no one cares that you do all your post-game interviews together anymore, right? Like,
Tibbs might be their coach next year.
I'm just saying, the's going to be Indiana if they can keep it close, because it's easier said than done.
It is.
Against Oklahoma City, it could get real tight Sunday night.
You know what else we'll do when we come back? We'll replay our Portuguese and Korean calls of a key sequence involving Halliburton that is kind of fun to listen to. So we'll do that, and then we'll prepare for Lavelle at the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Why does Dan hate Notre Dame? What's that a callback to? Can you figure that one out? Why does Dan hate Notre Dame?
Have we brought up Notre Dame?
I don't recall it, but I may be forgetting something. I hope 612 guy expands upon that allegation so I can at least attempt to address it. I don't hate Notre Dame.
And I don't think it's
I grew
come
up
today.
Around Notre Dame. I grew up on Touchdown Jesus. I'm a Gary, Indiana boy. South Bend's not that bad a drive. Really isn't. The story's been told many times that, and I don't know if they still do this, but one of the most popular traditions in cheers, I don't know if this was at pep rallies or games or both, football. The "Here Comes the Irish" chant. Do you know that background?
I don't think I do.
So the way it was done, as I understand it, is they started out whispering it. Here come the Irish. Here come the Irish. And then with each repeat, just get a little louder, until by the end of it, it's "Here come the Irish." I mean, it. Hairs on my, if I had hairs on my arm, they'd be standing up right now.
Something's standing up on your arm.
It's unbelievable. The "Here Comes the Irish." I mean, that's as good as it gets in college, once upon a time at least, college sports.
That is the romance.
Oh, it's tremendous.
Yep, that's the romance.
Touchdown Jesus.
Have you been to any games there?
Yes, I've covered some games there. I think I went to one game as a kid. I don't have much of a recollection of it. In fact, it might have even been a Bears preseason game. I don't remember.
Oh, it could have been.
But I covered a bunch. I didn't go to very many as a spectator.
I've been to one. No, I've been to the campus a couple of times.
Right.
There was a big tennis tournament there when I was in college that I went to. And this will shock nobody. I lost earlier than my friend Avery, who I was traveling with and playing doubles with.
Did you have one of your famous temper tantrums?
No. I was pretty chill.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I lost, and then while he was warming up for his next match and getting ready, I went to the infamous or famous bar that they always show, the Linebacker, because I just turned 21, and I knew he could drive me because he was playing.
Sure.
So just hung out at the Linebacker for a couple of hours.
What's wrong with that?
Surprising nobody.
Yeah.
The one game I've been to at Notre Dame Stadium was the Bush Push game with Doogie.
Is that right?
In 2005.
No kidding.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a game.
That's unbelievable. And it's a whole long story, but Sid ended up getting Doogie the tickets through Pete Carroll, who was the USC coach.
I mean, that's a classic.
It's epic.
Yeah.
I mean, I still, whenever a highlight comes up from that game, I still text him.
Sure.
And we had to drive there on a Friday afternoon after his show, 2 to 4:30. I had nothing going. It was 2005. I was running Sludgeon Lake and maybe doing some other stuff. And so I was available.
Oh, that's nice.
But that game, that whole day, that whole game, and then we had to drive back after for Vikings game the next day. So we were in and out of South Bend pretty quick.
That's about as good a game as you. If you got one, and that's the only one, that's pretty good.
It was interesting to be in the USC will call line.
Was it?
Well, with
beautiful
Reggie Bush's
people,
family,
yeah, right.
The beautiful people, and then there's Dukes and me in our KFAN fleeces.
They're going, who are these clowns?
But on the envelope it said tickets left by P. Carroll.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Did you save that?
I don't know. One of us has to have it.
Saved that somewhere.
I know. It was a great time. So anyway, that was my Notre Dame story. Thanks, Grandpa.
I started the show with a brief rant about ongoing legitimate concerns about NBA coverage, particularly as it pertains to the four-letter network ESPN. And some of it is related to what we've talked about intermittently the last several weeks. That is, I think, actually sometimes driven by the podcasts that are outside ESPN, but then people within ESPN think it's a debate point, so we're going to get in on it. Let me just, for a moment, digress to say, any weight that's given to anything that Gilbert Arenas says should be dismissed immediately.
It's insane.
It's to say that he just plays the game doesn't even do justice to the people who just play the game. It's awful. But the issue has to do with how we get into these debates about establishing stardom and who we want to spend time talking about, and is he a big enough superstar to carry a team, which occasionally can be a legitimate subject, especially if a team's trying to remake itself. I'm not saying there's not a place for it. But what I'm imploring is that we get to a place where, on a night like last night especially, we make the conversation not so much about any individual and about what the team did. And I don't think that's boring. I don't think that just because it's not about all, the bag of tricks of one player and what he did and how dazzling it was or wasn't, that the subject isn't worth the time, that it's tedious. There is much to get into. from a team concept, given that the object of Game 6 for the Indiana Pacers was to win the game. It wasn't, can we establish that Halliburton is a superstar? The head coach during the huddles, Rick Carlisle, saying, guys, come on, let's get serious about this. This is Halliburton's last chance.
He's only got 5 shots.
To be hailed as a superstar. Are we going to do it for him or not? No. They're trying to win the game. They're trying to use their strengths, which is the ensemble. Now, Halliburton, as we had that stat, generally, he needs to get to 20 points for the Pacers to win. He didn't last night, but he would have if he needed to play more than 23 minutes he played. He was at 14. In fact, I think he had 14 at the half. He was terrific from an offensive standpoint in the first half. When they built, they kind of established some control of the ball game even before the third quarter began. So what I'm submitting is the possibility of completely rejiggering what your approach is on how you evaluate. And a night after last night, especially if it's an ensemble team, which the Pacers are, that you just concentrate on the team aspects of what did they do exactly? Was it their offense? Was it their defense? Was it the way they moved the ball? Somebody had a stat yesterday that on 22 possessions, I think it was 22, they had the ball over the center line in 2 seconds or less.
Yeah, how about that?
Stunning. That's not interesting? It's only interesting if there's a 360 slam or an incredible block or a behind-the-back pass. Oh, by the way, that even doesn't count anymore. People don't even pay attention to that because Halliburton had a terrific no-look pass in a 2-play highlight that we're going to play via a Portuguese announcing call in a minute and a Korean broadcasting call in a minute as well. That's all I'm asking is that I don't think it's radical. I don't think anybody can say with a straight face in production, well, that's not very interesting. But what about Halliburton? Has he been as good as expected? How many games has he really asserted himself? Then we're back to, what do you mean by assert himself? The way he asserted himself in that game last night was to make all of the plays, many of the plays he needed to give his team a better chance to win. They needed other people. He wasn't going to win it by himself. But that doesn't mean that doesn't make him weak. It doesn't mean he is not worthy of discussion. It means they're built on a different dynamic. And why that can't be the emphasis on a game where a lot of people flat out predicted they were going to lose because of the way they looked the previous game, I don't know why. You can flesh out all kinds of themes that way. And that also doesn't mean you're not allowed to get into personalities of players. I'm not saying you can't, but it was uncanny. You mentioned it started even before the game. What was the comment you heard or the question?
If the question to Stephen A. from the host, if the Pacers lose Game 6, what will your takeaway be? Now, Stephen's takeaway was the Pacers will not be going away. They'll be back next year. But that was the question before the game had been played. If they lose, what will your takeaway be?
And by the way, I also am not saying I want nothing but real technical X's and O's. I'm saying you can discuss what I'm discussing on an area where you're not getting too deep in the weeds, but it's still interesting. Well, there's a lot of ways. Maybe we're learning there's another way to win. Now, maybe you can't do it every year with the ensemble they have, but the Pacers are an appealing brand of basketball. So you don't have to get into, well, who's more influential, Halliburton or SGA? Well, I'll take care of that in 30 seconds. SGA, for all the obvious reasons, he's the MVP. But that's not worth of any more time than that. Let's go on to, well, what can we learn about what the Pacers are doing here? How unique is this? What does it say about the way Rick Carlisle has evolved as a coach? There's a million fascinating, I think, details that one could discuss and themes that one could get to. And the fact that it's beyond the folks at ESPN, I'm done pretending that it's not awful sometimes. There are some nights where I actually think the coverage is awful. Not just okay, awful. And a lot of it is because it's in this spirit. Or it gets into then the personalities of Stephen A. and the way he's been questioned or whatever the case may be. And we're so far afield from what is actually going on in the game that it doesn't even matter. But as you said, if you make $20 million, you get a $20 million a year contract, you're probably going to get, all of us are probably going to get full of ourselves at that point. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. That's all.
That's right.
The coverage that's resulting. That's all.
You want Portugal and Korea real quick?
Real quick. Let's do it. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Stop it. Just remind you, this is in the second quarter, and it's Halliburton making a great steal from the Oklahoma City side of the court and sort of gathering the ball near midcourt, almost going out of bounds, getting fouled. They didn't call the foul, and then Halliburton sort of regaining his balance and then whipping a terrific no-look pass to Pascal Siakam for a terrific dunk that got the whole crowd crazy.
Pontos de vantagem. Halliburton tenta rouba a bola, faz o passe com Siakam! Pascal! Siakam bota o game, Bridgefield raus abaixo!
혼란스러워하고 있는 오케이신데요. 수비 할리버튼!
I love
That's
the
so
Korean
good.
Pete Bursich.
Yes, that's
Korean
right.
Pete Bursich.
Well, the thing is, how do you must have to work on that kind of unison, right? How do you know you're good? Because at the end, they're both offering the same noises at the exact same time, perfectly synchronized. That can't be easy to do.
It takes years to get that kind of chemistry, years that I fear the ABC crew will not get.
Oh, you're probably right about that. Speaking of chemistry, we got a lot of good chemistry with our next guest on this show, Lavelle Neal III. Questions for Lavelle Neal III. Hit the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Whatever your area code may or may not be, whether you have a burner account or not, 64686. A couple people are texting saying they do think there's some shenanigans going on regarding area codes.
Really?
They had some highfalutin rationale for it. I don't remember the text, but I think it might well be true. Lavelle brought to you by Allery's Bar and Barbecue in downtown St. Paul. While we're saying hi to Lavelle, Gaardsy, will you do me a favor, do a little research? This should be fairly easy to find.
Okay.
Will you? No, you know what? I'm not going to. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to do because most of Lavelle's answers are long enough for me to go exactly that. Lavelle, are you on the phone?
I am.
Why are you not in studio?
Because I'm actually covering the Twins game tonight.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me find it.
It's a Twins game.
This is like your first Twins game in about 2 months, isn't it?
Working?
Working. Yeah, about
3 weeks.
That's longer than that. I think you're being very kind to your schedule.
No, I think the last time I was at a Twins game was the one that got delayed by rain. It was Carson McCusker's first game at Target Field or something.
Let me ask you something. Since you're there, I don't want to belabor the Twins subject too much, but how close are you? You know, it was, I think 2 weeks ago, you sent out, I call it a fantasy column, but you wrote it, that the Twins should, try to go ahead and add a hitter more than a pitcher, that they really should make some additions at the trade deadline, something you and I both know they're not going to do. But there's another way this can go. If they continue to slide off into mediocrity, there's the question at the point maybe coming where you go, who are we kidding? They're not real. So let's do it the other way. Nobody wants to hear it, but maybe we need to start selling off some stuff, get some more young talent, get some more kids, and admit that we're probably going to have to go through some sort of another rebuilding process before we're good again. How close are you to writing that column?
First of all, thanks for having me here today. I would say that column probably would not be written until sometime in July. I think we have to see how these things are going to play out. The last time I checked the standings, Dan, I think it was yesterday I checked them.
Right.
12 of the 15 American League teams are either in the playoffs already if the season ended, or 2.5 games out of a wild card berth. So the field is not shaken up enough to identify clear buyers and sellers. So until the Twins lose enough to, fall out of that range, I think you have to, they have to consider themselves with a chance to do something here. So I'm going to stand by my plea for them to add a bat. And there have been reports this week that the Twins have been looking for a left-handed hitting outfielder. So right now our thoughts are in alignment on this subject.
Would you repeat that last part again?
That there was a report this week that the Twins were looking for a left-handed hitting outfielder.
You don't believe it,
You're
do you?
someone's blood bar already.
I should. That was awkward, wasn't it? That was not really professional the way I did it. But I couldn't help myself.
It is what it is, man. That's what's going on. And like, if they hit the skid some more, and I'm looking ahead to July's schedule. It's got a bunch of Detroits. It's got a bunch of Kansas City.
That's the thing.
It's got
the
Yankees. It's got the Padres. That will be the month to determine which way this thing's going to go.
Do you like?
I was just looking at that today.
Do you like this Spanish laugh better? I love every one of them. That's pretty good. How about the Majors laugh? Haven't played that in a long time. How about a Kessler?
That's a great one.
How about a Kessler laugh? This is Kessler laugh number 3. Here's Kessler laugh number 4. It's very different. Do we have a Lavelle laugh on there?
I don't think we do.
Yeah, Lavelle, you got a good laugh.
We've never made him laugh.
Maybe that's the problem.
Really?
He's only been mad at us.
That's funny.
Maybe that's the problem. Yeah, that could be the.
Lavelle's
I like
real.
Kessler number
Kesslers
4.
are all fake.
Actually, I like Kessler number 4 better.
This one, Kessler 4. I think that one's creepier.
Yeah, but it changes in tone. So
yeah, you're right about that.
There's a range there in that one.
That's very, very true, Davey. 100% true. What's this one? Oh, it's nothing. It says 0-0. Do you see on? It's down from Spanish laugh on laughs.
Hey, don't hit that. That's like a total traffic placeholder that somehow got dragged in there.
I see. I thought I saw double T. I thought it was something Trent Tucker related.
Davey. No, I don't know why.
I thought it was a San Antonio. Do we have a San Antonio Davey in the system anywhere?
No.
That's too bad. Maybe we can get him to say it at some point. All right. So you're. How long is the third baseman going to be out? Do we know?
You talking about Royce?
Mm-hmm.
There's actually an update today on Royce. He began a running program. What that means? Not entirely sure. He probably needs to be safe for a few days and then ramp up his running and then start taking some batting practice. And usually the last step before you either go off on a minor league rehab assignment or just get activated to the major league roster is that you're able to run the bases at full throttle. So I imagine this one is going to take a while longer than normal because it's the same hamstring he pulled in March that forced him to miss the first 34 games of the regular season. So, he sounded frustrated last week in Houston when he talked about it. I could totally understand why. But man, you got to wonder, when you start having these soft tissue injuries, when's it going to stop? They have just stopped with Buxton, and we're seeing him play as well as any center fielder in baseball is playing right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Royce, we have forgotten.
Well, let me ask you something.
That Royce was Mr. Grand Slam 2 years ago. He's been swinging at air ever since then and trying to find himself at the plate, and he was just starting to snap out of things.
True.
In Houston when he pulled a hamstring again. So I'm sure the Twins are concerned. I'm sure he's frustrated. I did not see him in the clubhouse today before the game. I did see Trevor Larnach before he got scratched from the lineup today, but did not see Royce.
Is it time to consider trading Byron Buxton? I'm only half kidding.
Hey, we made him laugh.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll cut that one. Lavelle won.
Yeah.
Like I said, not yet. The man, he's the best thing the Twins got going right now. I mean, he's the reason they're in games and winning games.
Sell high. That's my point.
I believe he has a limited no trade clause. I got to look up his contract to remind myself of that. But this, once again, until July 15th, this should not be an issue. Okay. This should not be on the table yet.
Well, that's not that far off.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's got about 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
You're right. It's the make or break stage of the schedule is coming here. And the day of reckoning is coming for this Twins team. If they want to turn things around and prove they could be in the mix for a playoff spot, or if not, can they move some players and retool? I'm not sure if the Twins are ready for a world without Buxton, to be honest with you. That would make Harrison Bader the center fielder going forward. And Bader is better than expected.
Yeah,
he's no Byron Buxton.
No, of course not. I'm saying you would do it on the basis of just that it was over. Is what I'm trying to say.
And if you were a team talking to the Twins about Buxton, you're looking at the years that he missed X amount of games, going,
well, he's healthy now.
This guy's going to stay on the field. Has he passed his injury bug? And he's going to be healthy for us?
Well, you're the guys.
That's going to.
You guys are frauds. You're the ones telling me he's playing like an MVP right now. That this is the best of the best. So maybe somebody will say, okay, we think he's finally turned a corner and we can get him.
Well, Jim Suhan wrote a column claiming that if he has a 30-30 season, he should be in an MVP conversation, which I said in our Chim Music podcast today. That's hard for me to wrap my brain around because Aaron Judge is having such a fantastic season. I don't see at this point how he is not the MVP for a second straight year. So then we had the whole debate about MVP versus Player of the Year. And yes, that is true, but people kind of mix those two accolades together when they're trying to determine MVP. So it gets really weird. It's up to the individual how they determine MVP. But my God, if you're putting up a 10-WAR season, how can you not be the most valuable player?
Is the outfielder we might be looking for Max Kepler?
No, I don't think Max is lighting it up. Last time I checked, he was something with 230 something.
Yeah, but you can get him cheap.
Do we really want Max Kepler back? That'll be a defensive upgrade in right field.
We don't want to spend. I mean, we don't want to make we don't want to, take too big a bite, do we? That's not the Twins' way. Kepler, maybe we can. He's only hitting 220, but he's got 9 home runs.
Yeah. I don't want to upset the fan base, but I've been sniffing around that subject. Are the Poets going to be willing to add payroll?
Yeah.
And there have been positive responses when I've asked that question. So I don't know if anything I don't know if anything's been nailed down and has been solidified in terms of their approach to adding on during the trading deadline season. But it's not looking good.
Are you energized by the NBA Finals now preparing for the first Game 7 in the finals in the better part for the first time in the better part of a decade?
Yeah, I feel bad for Indiana and Oklahoma City because people like to throw out the ratings and how the ratings have not been as awful as people wanted them to be, and it's tough because when you have marquee teams from big markets, you do get more of a casual fan kind of checking in. But I got to imagine there's more casual NBA fans checking into the NBA Finals as well. I've enjoyed this series. It's been really interesting. Halliburton setting the tone in Game 1, and to watch OKC respond, and to Halliburton, playing with a sore calf yesterday, leading the Pacers to a Game 6 victory to force Game 7. It's been great. There's been drama. There's been ups and downs, and now we get to see a Game 7, and that is awesome. I hope everybody who likes basketball tunes in to watch the game because this will be exciting, must-see TV as Oklahoma City returns home to play Indiana for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Man, I've been entertained. I don't know about you, but I've been entertained.
I have too. I think, and as you said, at some point you got to sort of let the ratings thing go. You can't lecture people. You can't tell them, here's what you should be watching. People get to make whatever choices they want. But I think, it's funny because this just, came up. The Dodgers, the big shot billionaire Dodgers guy now is purchasing a majority share of the Lakers, correct? And there's a lot of...
He also is bankrolling the Women's Hockey League. That's the same guy.
Is that right? Wow, I didn't even realize that.
It's the Walter Cup. The cup's named after him.
Well, here's you bankroll it to that extent. That's what you're going to get. It is interesting that because you could say with the sale of the Lakers that as odd as this sounds, being a pro sports owner, it's not enough to be a billionaire anymore. It's like you've got to be a multi-billionaire, and the main source of your income can no longer be. That's sort of what the era that's being ushered out with this change indicates is the era of the only business that from which you get your money is the team itself. That era is gone.
Right.
It's completely gone now. That's to me what many of these sales, including the Dodgers, I should say the Lakers sale for $10 billion, indeed represents.
Yeah, these investment folks, these private equity people, real estate moguls. You have to have some other major irons in the fire here in order to pull off that transaction. I think Walter is worth $6 billion, so that can help him pull off this transaction. The Celtics went for $6 billion. This tells me that the Wolves are being sold for a bargain, an absolute bargain price.
Yeah,
because as soon as they agreed to that layaway plan, which the NBA will never, ever agree to again, the value of that franchise went up about 40%. It is not, was it $1.5 billion, right? It's worth more than that right now. And so A-Rod and Lurie are getting a great deal, and therefore they should pay for a stadium on their own.
There's no question about that part of it as well. It is interesting, though, people are pointing out, and you know this better than most, no matter how much money these guys, the Dodgers, there's no limits to what they spend, right? We know that on a number of fronts, including payroll. And I was reminded, though, it's not automatic that he can bring the same sort of aggressiveness to the Lakers because, as I have figured, as I've been told, the punitive nature of, well, first of all, obviously there's no salary cap in baseball, correct? And secondly, I think, there's certain taxes, luxury taxes in baseball, but I don't think they're anywhere near as punitive as they are with the NBA, the collective bargaining agreement as well. And so it's not as simple as, he can just do the same thing he did to the Dodgers and the Lakers are going to be able to get whoever they want to, although they actually already do that. We're learning. Even the Buss family got to enjoy that outcome. But it's kind of apples and oranges, is it not, between the two sports? And it is part of, I think, why people get weary about baseball, this sense that, look at this, the finals you just mentioned. The ratings may not be great, but these are two, small market teams. You don't get any smaller than Oklahoma City and Indiana, and they're in, the NBA finals. And San Antonio, Davey had a great run. And there is this feeling more with baseball that now it's reached a point where it's going to be rare if it's not a team that's, spending $500 million on payroll.
This is why I'm anticipating a work stoppage after the 2026 season, because I think there are some owners who are fed up with the financial system in Major League Baseball that allows the Dodgers and Yankees to sign ridiculous players with ridiculous contracts. Juan Soto possibly getting $800 million it just boggles my mind. And there's no chance, that teams like the Rays or the Twins or with the Rockies or some other smaller market teams that can be able to compete like that. And so, I talked to Dave St. Peter about this, about a year ago, and he says, some conversations are starting about trying to find a new way to make things more equitable. And that's where the whole TV revenue thing is going to come into play here, because Rob Manfred wants to have every team's television rights so he can bundle them and package them together. The other component that's been discussed, too, is finally sharing more television revenue. Right now, I believe Major League Baseball teams put 35% of their local TV revenue in the pot, and I think there's going to be clamoring for it to be more. The NFL shares all its revenue, TV revenue. I think there's some owners that want baseball to put all the local TV revenue in the same pot and split it equally, and that could actually be a drag on spending by some of those big market teams, because I believe the annual television contracts pretty much cover their payrolls. And as we saw with the Diamond Sports mess, the Twins are only getting $58 million from theirs, So, but the NBA, it's hard, and it makes it hard to build a dynasty. The Golden State Warriors had a nice run. They're able to pull that off, but, there's penalties for that. I'm writing a column for Sunday about how I would prefer the Wolves to get De'Aaron Fox instead of Kevin Durant anyway. But there's second apron issues that have to be worked out for that to happen.
Yeah.
That's the state of play in the NBA.
Do you know anything about this scuffle that took place in the outfield near the visiting bullpen, the outfield bleachers, Thursday night, Tigers, Pirates. It was at Comerica, and a reliever named Dennis Santana apparently was like trying to throw a punch at a fan. He said it was, I think, what was the quote I saw? Basically saying that it kind of, I can't find the quote in this particular story. It's not like he's saying it just went too far and it got to a point where I felt like I knew, even though I knew I shouldn't do what I did, that I had to do something. Do we know anything more about what precipitated that near brawl?
No, based on everything I read, the pitcher would not say exactly what the fan said to him that would set him off and make him try to turn it to Captain America and fly up into the stands and get after him. So that's sad. I mean, he had to be pulled away from the situation. Fans say a lot of bad stuff, and players usually have thick skin and can put the ear muffles on when they have to avoid reacting to stuff like that. But it does happen from time to time. Your boy, Mike Pelfrey told me a story about how he was pitching in winter ball one year, and one guy kept calling his name out constantly. He wouldn't pronounce it correctly. He called him Peefrey. He kept saying, "Hey, Peefrey, Peefrey, Peefrey." And apparently, like 40 times, he kept just saying anything over and over and over while he's in the bullpen. And Pelp said he turned around and finally said, "What?" And the guy just said something totally ridiculous that included some sort of act he wanted him to commit on him. And Pelfrey just whipped it at him and started screaming at the guy who had him thrown out. So they try to ignore these things. They're told to ignore these things because you can't win in the end. Because if you get into altercation with a fan, then there's going to be a lawsuit probably thrown and all kinds of other, ramifications. But it does happen. Stuff being thrown at players, covering some Twins players. I remember racial insults being thrown at LaTroy Hawkins during his career. Matt Lawton happened to Matt Lawton in Toronto once. You just got to be above it all. And sometimes it's not easy. You get someone at the wrong time and say the wrong thing to the wrong person, and you're going to get a reaction, and it's not going to be good. Did Pelfrey eventually take full responsibility? Well, he did. I mean, he told the story, so I guess he took responsibility. It was I don't know if it was a full pelf, maybe it was 3/4
might have been a half or a quarter. Yeah.
Cause I don't know if he ever ended up meeting the guy in the parking lot or not.
He still feels bad about it like that. Pelfrey, all these years later. Say hi to Lori Fisher. See if you can find Lori Fisher at the ballpark. She's there tonight.
As a fan, or she give me the press?
Well, she was doing news, producing the news because the game's on Fox 9 tonight, but then she was going to stay for the game itself, too.
They're out in right field, and then she goes to that Delta suite because she's made friends with whoever runs it. So she's taking some freebies, Wobbs. Go bust her.
No, I should go bust her. It's the Thrivent suite now, so I know exactly where to go to take. I will get photographic evidence of her.
Get her going.
I'm looking at Randy Meyer right now. He's right above it, so go find him.
There you go. We got to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Talk to you guys later.
Lavelle Neal III from the ballpark, from Target Field. Back in. Remember Funk Fridays on the Fan?
I do, the Funk Box.
The Funk Box. I still have it, but we can't really open it anymore.
Well, I'm glad you have it because for years it was
right there.
Here.
Well, I grabbed it once because I saw it in there. I figured it was going to get lost. The Funk Box.
Yeah, I did lose it. I just didn't know you stole it.
Oh, you didn't know? Okay.
Because it was there forever.
I remember.
It was just kind of my, reflexive. I'd grab it and
it's still fascinating to me that I'm with the program. I get it, but the directives are the directives. I'm still trying to figure out why every other show in every other market I listen to plays bumper music. What they have figured out or what they're paying it's just fascinating that we are the ones who are in that position. Real quick on the near brawl involving Pittsburgh Pirates reliever Dennis Santana. Here's the quote from Santana. He was in the bullpen, and this was during Game 2 of a Thursday doubleheader with the Tigers. He is seen at one point leaping and swiping at whoever he was arguing with. You guys know me. I'm a calm demeanor type of person. That's what he said after the game through an interpreter. I've never had any issues for any of the teams I played for. This guy crossed the line a few times. He crossed the line, and I'd like to leave it at that. I've never had anything like this happen in my 8 years of baseball. So was it, racial line that was passed. It was something along those lines. We do not know. There's been a lot of speculation about that. But apparently it got pretty heated. After jumping at the fan, Santana was escorted away by Pirates bullpen personnel and held back by a teammate as well. You were about to say? Oh, I thought you were saying. The text, one of the texts I wanted to get to goes back to our discussion about the NBA Finals and even coverage of said event. This is from, see, the area code here is 651. Actually, he names himself Rob Vadnais Heights. Love the show. Like it or not, what Indiana is doing is very impressive. Unfortunately, having a few blowouts in this series isn't great for the casual fan. Also, the betting public probably isn't a fan of starters sitting out for almost half the game. Can't deny the excitement of a Game 7, though. Totally agree. I can't argue with any of that. It doesn't. I mean, what made it dramatic last night was that the team that had to win won, setting up the prospect of what then we now all hope will be a classic winner-take-all Game 7. Might not be that way. If Oklahoma City is true to form, they'll win by 22, as you said, and it won't even be that interesting of a ball game. But there's some truth to the fact that in this series, going back the Wolves series, right, with Okie City, there were a lot of blowouts.
Yeah,
and those aren't conducive to keeping fans in. You're looking
basically 4 of the 5
for close games. Exactly right.
Game 4 here was the one really good game. It was an epic. It was a classic. Oklahoma City's best players played great.
Yeah.
But the first 2 there weren't much. We know Game 3 here was a bloodbath, and so was Game 5 there.
I wonder if he's a casual fan of the WNBA and Caitlin Clark as well. He uses that term, casual fan. I'm not particularly sure, but that might well be. Barrero is a bum is no longer available. 763 guy is administering BarreroIsABum.com. How do I flip the thing now, or am I out the $12.99?
It was a big risk.
Was it $12.99?
I don't know what it was. I think some domain registrations are different than others. I've never really done it.
$12.99. Did you see, is it change.org where you can start petitions for things?
Yes, we've done it before.
Did you see, apparently, and I don't, again, know whether this is a real petition or one of those, just satirical petitions. There was one that aimed to throw, who is the Caitlin Clark protector?
Sophie Cunningham?
To throw Sophie Cunningham out of the league for her ongoing goonish behavior. There's no place for it in the WNBA.
That has to be satirical.
It might be. I don't know.
That's got to be satirical.
I wonder how many signatures it got.
What about the player that chest bumped her to the ground, Caitlin Clark, out of nowhere? Is there a place for that?
Well, I guess there is.
Because that was a blindside.
Yes, it was.
And trust me, I've seen Caitlin Clark go SGA on the bit. I've seen it. Mm-hmm. From courtside at Carver Hawkeye, Big Ten. I've seen it. That was not that.
But I will even say, because I meant to argue with Lori Fisher about this, she brings up tonight, we talk about the whole Caitlin Clark controversy on Enough Said tonight, which will be on Fox 9 after the Twins game against the Brewers. Whatever that time that'll be, it's open-ended, obviously. And then I think, are we on regular time on Fox 9 Plus? I don't even remember.
7:30, yeah.
7:30.
That should be the plan.
That she mentions, by the way, let's not forget that Caitlin Clark also shoved, threw a shove herself. And what's left, and that's true, but what's left out of that was what preceded the shove was who's the player?
You're not watching Fox 9, are you?
No.
Lori's holding some random baby right now.
You got it on TV?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Can we simulcast it?
No. Well, now Randy Myers got the baby.
What is going on? What's happened to the news?
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
See, I know you were trying to make a point.
Who was the player who poked her in the eye?
J.C. Sheldon.
So, but what people leave out on Caitlin pushed her is that Sheldon, before that, crowds her, clearly trying to get back in her space, and then Clark shoves her. Is it worthy? Maybe she had to get a technical. I don't know. But if people are being honest about what they saw, you can't conveniently leave something out that puts it about, Caitlin herself was her own worst enemy there. Before she shoved, she had somebody who already had fouled her viciously. I'm not saying intentionally, but hard. And then decides, you don't like that? Well, I'm going to get in your space after the whistle has been blown here. So you can't leave that part of it out. Anyway.
I would love to. I think with all these videos, we need to basically have every angle of everything that's happened because people just grab the footage that they want and then don't.
That's true. There's some of that goes on.
Depending on which cut makes their side of the argument look good, they just roll with that.
Well, we'll have to see. Is Lori still on camera?
No, she handed Randy Meyer the baby and then walked off the set. They went to break.
What are they doing with what do the babies have to do with whose baby is it?
I don't know, but it had a nice twins onesie on.
Oh,
cute
that explains
kid too.
It. Okay,
really cute kid.
Does it belong to one of the players?
I don't know. I was listening to you.
Yeah, well, barely.
You're right.
Really distracted.
I did say sorry for interrupting.
Well, you did kind of. Yeah, I guess that's true. By the way, speaking of, how many Sounders did you have when you first started at KFAN? None. I assume. I mean, Sounders were developed over
when
decades.
When Bumper to Bumper started, do you think you had a button bar?
No, I don't think we. I doubt that we did. I mean, we had some Sounders that went with. Even then, the original Open the Show involved 4 Sounders. I think 3 or 4 Sounders. One could say. Just say, okay, what kind of open do we want? But beyond that, we didn't have any that were then just sort of. Set. I don't think we adopted from anybody else. I think it happened all quite organically, right? Don't you think?
That's the way it should have.
I mean, that's the way it's supposed to. We've lost a bunch of them. I'm still bitter about it. Some of them just get lost. I'm trying to scramble here in the last few minutes. Let me see if I can get it. If we were still playing bumper music, I will tell you as an old-timer that nothing recently, from a music standpoint, has given me greater pleasure than to hear one of my favorite pop groups from back in the day put out an album that didn't have me rolling my eyes. Because so many of the folks who've been around forever, we're going to try to recapture the old magic, and it just... You go, okay, well, it's all right, but it's just flat. No, it's not. No, it's not the same. And I must tell you that I believe the newest, I think it was released June 6th, Doobie Brothers album is tremendous. Captures a lot of the sound of the band from back in the day, and it includes both vocalists, Tom Johnston, who's more the gritty voice from the beginning, and Michael McDonald, right? And I liked them both at various times. My favorite song on it, we'd play it. It's called Here to Stay. It's number 6 in the track list. I think it should be the hit. I think it should be the one where, okay, what one would you want to release it as the 45? That would be it. I think it's one of the first times with an aging pop music group I've said, they got it. They got it back together. They found a way to get it back together. They also have a song on there, which is actually from a while ago, by Patrick Simmons called Lahaina, which is his salute to the horrific fires that broke out, obviously, from back in the day. That's very well done as well, but we can't play it.
We could play it. I would just have to take it out of the podcast. You'd have to take it out of the podcast. Which is fine. We could do that. Yeah. We did that for a stretch with the actual bumper music.
That's true.
That's what I have to do with Marvin Gaye, basically, to start the show.
And how about the end? Spinner, same thing?
Ooh, I should be doing that.
Oh, sorry. Now I let the cat out of the bag. Wait for the lawyers to get a hold of that.
I should be doing that.
Wait for the Spinner's lawyers to get a hold of that information.
Man. I'm glad you were thinking about it.
Yeah, well.
So now, but the nice thing about cutting out the Marvin Gaye one is once you start, I fade it really quickly.
I see.
I don't know if there's a way to do that. Interesting.
No, that probably is.
We may have to get rid of the spinners.
It's unbelievable. Sorry I brought it up. It might have been better. Ignorance might have been bliss in this case. And now, unfortunately, you can't unknow it.
No.
Because I brought it up.
And now we've admitted to it.
I'm sorry.
Andy Luger's probably listening. And he'll give us the legal thing that, we'd be in trouble.
By the way, let's come back and I'll talk about a text I just received from Andy Luger just a few minutes ago. He joined us in the 3 o'clock hour of the program. Don't go.
Man.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
All right, we are wrapping up the week. Good stuff today from Lavelle Neal III, who joined as per usual, between 5:30 and 6. We gave Ben Gessling the week off, and we had Andy Luger in studio for a solid hour between 3:15 and 4:15. And the good news is he tells me he's getting a lot of really good, encouraging feedback from a lot of what we discussed and a lot of what he proposed. And, Andy made this clear. He knows none of this stuff is easy when it comes to online savagery, etc. None of it's easy. There are no easy answers, but I think he asks good questions, and it's fascinating to hear that now his new approach when he hosts an event or a party is basically to tense it up a little bit if he has to.
Why not?
If he thinks individuals in the Andy Luger world, the othering, to the degree we other the other side, is part of what drives a lot of what kills us. And as a result, he's, person by person that he's around, he is attempting to confront that and even make the individuals he knows very well uncomfortable about backing off on that. That was only part of the discussion. A lot of reaction from him regarding a weekend that he took every bit as hard as everyone else, and in fact even was projecting, some of the things he would be thinking about in the role that he once had if he was still U.S. attorney as well. So I heartily recommend it. If you missed it, it'll be podcast available, I'm assuming, after the show today. That was between 3:15 and about 4:15. Ojampa is confessing. Former producer.
Yeah.
I miss Ojampa a lot. Great guy. I will finally come clean. I accidentally deleted the "you know what" drop from the "okay, girl, I feel cleansed." He's admitting
that's amazing
that he deleted it accidentally. After it sounds like it was a burden for him.
Okay.
And then "you know what" was right underneath it.
And it's gone.
Okay.
And he did it. What? I mean, imagine the number of sleepless nights he's had. Just, tossing and turning. That, should I say it or should I not say it?
I feel like he did that more for us than him now.
It might well be true.
He feels unburdened. I feel tortured now.
Yeah. Well, that's
Do you remember what that was from?
Yes, it was from a... It was from a theater.
Alamo Draft House.
Alamo Draft House. That's it, exactly. Alamo Draft House in Austin, Texas. And was it thrown out?
Yes. For using her phone.
And so this was the message she left at their automate, their customer service number was, and it was hilarious.
She wasn't aware she couldn't use the phone.
Yeah, that's
in your theater.
Yeah, she was great.
Okay.
Wonder whatever happened to her.
I'm sure some lucky guy snatched her up.
Yeah, there's no question about that. That was very good. Tonight, it's Fan on Demand as usual, and then it's Dan Patrick. Are my sources accurate that you guys did not win the Program Password Invitational? Is that correct?
We did not.
And
we lost.
How big was the lead that you blew?
I think at one point it was 25, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think we were up 45-20. We might have been up.
Oh, well, that's not prohibitive. I mean, it's a good lead, but...
Yeah, I honestly, I never really know what the score is. I just play the next
You just keep playing. That's
until
smart.
I'm told not to play anymore. But the Broad Squad, Broad's back. Marnie took the iPad out of my hands like 3 times. I barely felt like I got to play. Because, you get the clue.
Yeah,
and
right.
The people that are behind, they were the whole game.
Yeah.
First or second. She would go first. They'd get it.
And that was it.
And so they
And this is
great.
the first time they've won, is what I was reminded. I just assumed they'd won it like 4 or 5 times.
No, this was like an Oklahoma City Thunder thing for them.
Okay.
They needed to win this title.
Sounds patronizing the way you put it that way. I mean, just saying.
They'd been one of the best teams for years, but no ships.
Sunday sermons, me and Brett Blakemore. I'll be with you on Sunday. Then I'm going to take a little bit more than a little bit of time off. Duty calls, indeed. So, but I will be in for sermons on Sunday. I may even be working on a guest or 2. So it'll be Brett. I think he said he's going to be in as well, and then taking some time as well. You're taking some time during the same period. Is
Following
that right?
week, yeah, 4th of July week.
Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you Sunday morning at 9.
Okay, have you heard about this? Last year, Degree changed the formula for their Cool Rush deodorant. Their fans rebelled and wanted the old scent back. And Degree listened. That doesn't happen often.
They admitted that they effed up and are bringing the original Cool Rush scent back. And it's exactly how you remember it. Cool, crisp, and fresh. There's a reason it's the #1 men's antiperspirant, and it's back in Walmart, Target, and other stores for under $4.
So try it and see what the fuss is about. Head to your local stores to try the OG Cool Rush for yourself.